Are you actively teaching your child how to use their self-control? Or are you just putting your expectations out there and hoping that it will work? Often when it comes to parenting, we will put our expectations out there. Like, if you have an ice cream, then you need to still listen to mommy, right? Or you're not going to fight with your sister, right? You promise? Or if I let you stay up later than usual, then tomorrow you need to get up with no problem, right? Okay. And we put these kinds of things out there as if we're teaching self-control, where really all we're doing is planting a suggestion for what happens to their behavior when they eat ice cream, or what the next morning's going to be like when it's time to get them up. I'm Debbie Pokornik, and for this month's Peek at Parenting, I'd like to give you a suggestion of one of the ways that you might start to teach your child self-control. Self-control is not something that we naturally have. It takes work to learn, and it takes constant practice. If we don't use it, we lose it. So it's an important skill for us to practice ourselves and also to teach to our children. From a very young age, we can start to teach this by paying attention to how we're talking to our kids. So let's just go back to the example of our child asking for ice cream. We might, instead of saying to them, okay, if I give you ice cream, then you're going to stay happy, right? You're not going to get all grouchy. Instead of saying something like that, we can change it to an active statement they can put into practice. Okay, if I get you ice cream and you start to feel really like full of energy, or maybe even like angry, like you want to strike out at somebody, what can you do instead? When we do this, we're planting that seed of thought for, if I start to feel a certain way, what can I do to control my behavior? I know it sounds very simple when I put it this way, but it really can make a huge difference. If you've never done this before, your child's likely to respond with something like, I won't get that way, I won't do it. You say, well, that's great that you think that, but sometimes we don't control it. When sugar surges through our body, it really does affect how we feel. So what can you do when you start to feel the sugar? What can you do instead of fighting with your sister? Could you go off and play by yourself? Is there something quiet you can think of that you can do? We're here on a beach. Could you maybe have a little run down the beach? Of course, let mommy know before you do, but have a little run down the beach. By doing this, we're starting to teach them different coping skills, things that they can do when they start to feel a certain way. We're also helping them to start tuning in to their body and to pay attention to how it feels. Now, there's one more step to this that makes it a little bit better, because what will happen is, if you've never done this before as a parent, as soon as your child starts to get rangy or excited or not want to get up in the morning, we tend to go into nagging mode. You remember your promise. You said if I let you stay up last night that you'd get up this morning, no problem. You're ruining that. You're not getting, and we start getting into this mode. Instead, before you get the ice cream or before you let them stay up late, come up with a code word. So what can I do to help you put this plan into action? If you start to get that sugar buzz and you start fighting with your sister, how can I remind you about this deal that we've made and the plan that you've come up with? So if you come up with a word like, say, ice, is going to be your code word. And when your child starts to behave, maybe it's an hour later and all of a sudden they're getting cranky and grouchy, and you say, ice. You can also say, it's time to put your plan into action. They might not be able to control themselves, but even if they can't, you have planted the seed for how it works, for what kind of behavior it is that causes the problem. And it also gives you something to use the next time where they ask for something and you know that they won't be able to control their behavior. You can say, you know what, honey, I cannot get you ice cream. Remember what happened last time? Now, if they say to you, I won't do it this time, mommy, I promise. Say, you know what? Rather than promise me, let's talk again about our plan, and let's come up with ideas of things you can try instead. The more we do this, the more we help our kids become aware of what's going on for their body. They start to notice how it feels. They have a coping plan of things they can try instead, and the more they start to use their self-control, which in the long run can make a huge difference in our life together with them. So until next time, I'm Debbie Pokornik, and this has been a peek at parenting.